Deception of Asiatic Black Men. Greetings to all. I am Shakan Dugu Kemet. We're going to start right off. Freemasonry, Encyclopedia Britannica 2012. In addition to the main body of Freemasonry derived from the British tradition, there are now a number of appendant groups that are primarily social or fun organizations, which have no official standing in Freemasonry, but which draw their membership from the higher degrees of Freemasonry. They are especially prevalent in the United States. Among those known for their charitable work are the ancient Arabic order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine, the Shriners. Next slide. You can see this is coming from the Shriners International website. You have the link at the bottom. Now, the fairs that you see is part of the website template. Here's the beginning. You have the link for the website. It's coming from their own website, Shriners International once again. It says, in 1870, a group of Masons gathered frequently for lunch at the Nighbroker Cottage on 6th Avenue in New York City. At a special table on the second floor, a particularly fun-loving group of men met regularly. Among the regulars were Walter M. Fleming, M.D., and William J. Billy Florence, an actor. The group frequently talked about starting a new fraternity for Masons, one centered on fun and fellowship, more than ritual. Fleming and Florence took this idea seriously enough to do something about it. Billy Florence had been on tour in France and had been invited to a party given by an Arabian diplomat. The exotic style, flavors, and music of the Arabian theme party inspired him to suggest this as a theme for the new fraternity. Walter Fleming, a devoted fraternity brother, built on Fleming's idea and used his knowledge of fraternal ritual to transform the Arabian theme into the ancient Arabic order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine. With the help of Nighbroker Cottage regulars, Fleming drafted the ritual, designed the emblem and costumes, formulated a salutation, and declared that members will wear the red fez. The first meeting of Mecca Shriners, the first temple, chapter, established in the United States, was held September 26, 1872. Next, the fez is one of the most recognizable symbols of Shriners International and was adopted as the Shriners' official headgear in 1872. Named after the city of Fez, Morocco, the hat represented the Arabian theme the fraternity was founded on. It also serves as an outward symbol of one's membership in the fraternity. Much like the white arpon worn by Masons as a symbol of their brotherhood, the fez is worn only by Shriners as a symbol of their membership in his unique fraternity. Today, the fez is worn at Shriners' function, in parades, and at outings as a way of gaining exposure for the fraternity. Members customize their fez to show their allegiance to their temple. Look closely at the fez and you will also learn other important information about its wearer, such as membership in shrine clubs, special roles within the organization, and much more. Each fez is custom made, and a Shriner may own more than one fez depending on his activities and memberships. Next, the emblem on the front of the fez, the crescent and scimitar, is an important part of the fraternity's theme and is representative of the characteristics embodied by the Shriners. The scimitar stands for the backbone of the fraternity, its members. The two claws are for the Shriners' fraternity and its philanthropy. The sphinx stands for the governing body of the Shriners. The five-pointed star represents the thousands of children helped by the philanthropy each year. The emblem also bears the phrase Robur et Fureur, which means strength and fury. Next, all Shriners are Masons. but not all Masons are Shriners. Shriners International is a spin-off from Freemasonry, the oldest, largest, and most widely known fraternity in the world. The Freemasonry dates back hundreds of years to when stonemasons and other craftsmen gathered after work in shelter houses or lodges. Over time, the members organized into Masonic guilds, and the tools of their trade, the square and compass, became the symbol of their brotherhood. Over time, Masonry evolved into organization that began to accept members who were not craftsmen. Today, Masonry is built upon a foundation of improving character and strengthening communities, though the square and compass are still the symbols of the fraternal brotherhood. When Shriners International was first founded in 1872, the organization built on the principles that guided Freemasonry, while adding an element of fun and ultimately philanthropy that set Shriners International apart. The two organizations are also structured similarly. Shriners have temples. Masons have a Blue Lodge or Craft Lodge. Members of the Masonic lodges are required to learn about their fraternity and earn a series of Masonic degrees. When a member has completed the third and final degree, he becomes a Master Mason, and it's then eligible to become a Shriner. Additional courses in Masonic study are available. These are known as the Scottish Rite and the York Rite. And you have a link to learn more about how to become a Mason and a Shriner. Next. So here we have the first symbol, the Shriner's emblem. Remember, the first meeting of Mecca Shriners was in 1872. Next, Moorish Science Temple of America. U.S. religious movement founded in Newark, New Jersey in 1913 by Timothy Drew, known to followers as Noble Drew Ali and also as the Prophet. Drew Ali thought that all blacks were of Moorish origins but had their Muslim identity taken away from them through slavery and racial segregation. Drew Ali moved his organization several times and ultimately settled in the mid-20s in Chicago, where he found success. He died under mysterious circumstances during a period of internal strife, and the Moorish Science Temple of America split into several factions. The Nation of Islam grew out of the contested succession to Drew Ali and became a separate organization in Detroit in 1932. Next, here you can see several of the symbolism of the MSTA. Next, this is a well-known picture, and where you have the arrow, that individual pointed. Some people do say that this is Father Muhammad. This is not my claim. This is just for the record. Next, teachings of Noble Drew Ali. This is coming from the Moorish questionnaire, better known as the Moorish 101. Number 5. Who is Noble Drew Ali? He is Allah's prophet. 11. Where was Noble Drew Ali born? In the state of North Carolina, 1886. 12. What is his nationality? Moorish American. 13. What is your nationality? Moorish American. 14. Why are we Moorish Americans? Because we are descendants of Moroccans and born in America. 17. What is our religion? Islamism. 43. At what age did Jesus begin to teach? At the age of 12. 44. Where did he teach? India, Africa, and Europe. 88. What is meant by the word black? Black, according to science, means death. 94. Will you define the word white? White means purity. Purity means God, and God means the ruler of the land. Next, you have the link to this website, and you can see the flag of the Moorish, well, what they call the Moorish flag. Next, here is a quote from the book The Messenger, The Rise and Fall of Elijah Muhammad, page 62. Drew Ali believed that Morocco was the original land of African Americans, whom he called Moors and Asiatics. Next, same book, page 64. In 1913, Drew, greatly influenced by the writings of white spiritualist Levi H. Dowling, author of the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ, formed his own sect, calling it the Canaanite Temple. After Dowling died in 1911, Drew plagiarized the book, combined it with the teachings of the Ahmadiyya movement and material from Freemasonry to produce his so-called Holy Quran. He changed his name to Drew Ali, preceded by the title of Noble, which he borrowed from Masonic ritual. Black Americans, Noble Drew Ali wrote, were actually Asiatics who descended from the Moabites. Same book, page 65. By 1928, Drew Ali had established 17 temples in 15 states, the one in Chicago being the largest and most profitable. Next, here you can see the quote-unquote Moorish Quran, also known as the Seven Circle Quran, and on the right the cover of the book The Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ, which was plagiarized by Drew Ali. Next, here you have the symbolism. We have started with the Shriner's emblem in 1872, and then we can see the similarities with the Moorish flag. Next, dealing with the Asiatic influence. Number 84 of the Moorish 101. When was the head of Satan taken off? 1453. Byzantine. 85. By whom? By Muhammad II. The Encyclopedia Britannica 2012 tells us about Mehmed II, Ottoman Sultan from 1444 to 1446 and from 1451 to 1481. A great military leader, he captured Constantinople. Now Constantinople, from the same source, largest city and seaport of Turkey. It was formerly the capital of the Byzantine Empire. Now dealing with the title Bey, common to the Moors. It comes from Turkish Bey, Old Turkish Beg, Arabic Bey or Bey. Title among Turkish peoples traditionally given to rulers of small tribal groups, to members of ruling families, and to important officials. Later, Bey became a general title of respect in Turkish and Arab countries, added after a personal name and equivalent to Esquire or Sir in conversation in English. Next, still dealing with the MSTA. Number 87. In all reality, what is a Negro? A Negro is a four-legged animal. 90. What does Ethiopia mean? Ethiopia means something divided. 91. Can a man be a Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian? No. Now from the quote-unquote Moorish Quran, chapter 45, the divine origin of the Asiatic nations. Number 2. The key of civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatic nations. The Moorish were ancient Moabites and the founders of the holy city of Mecca. Before I move further with the Asiatic influence and the MSTA, I want to give a notable mention, which is the UNIA, founded by Marcus Garvey, because he came around the same time. Marcus Garvey, charismatic black leader who organized the first important American black nationalist movement 1919 to 1926, based in New York City's Harlem. Largely self-taught, Garvey attended school in Jamaica until he was 14. After traveling in Central America and living in London from 1912 to 1914, he returned to Jamaica, where, with a group of friends, he founded August 1, 1914, the Universal Negro Improvement and Conservation Association and African Communities League, usually called the Universal Negro Improvement Association, which sought, among other things, to build in Africa a black-governed nation. Failing to attract a following in Jamaica, Garvey went to the United States and soon established branches of the UNIA in Harlem and the other principal ghettos of the North. By 1919, the rising Black Moses claimed a following of about 2 million, though the exact number of association members was never clear. From the platform of the association's Liberty Hall in Harlem, he spoke of a new Negro proud of being black. His newspaper, Negro World, told the exploits of heroes of the race and of the splendors of African culture. He thought that blacks would be respected only when they were economically strong, and he preached an independent black economy within the framework of white capitalism. To forward these ends, he established the Negro Factories Corporation and the Black Star Line, as well as a chain of restaurants and grocery stores, laundries, a hotel, and a printing press. He reached the height of his power in 1920 when he presided at an international convention in Liberty Hall with delegates present from 25 countries. The affair was climaxed by a parade of 50,000 through the streets of Harlem, led by Garvey in flamboyant array. His business methods, however, and his doctrine of racial purity and separatism, he even approved of the white racist Ku Klux Klan because it sought to separate the races, brought him bitter enemies among established black leaders, including labor leader A. Philip Randolph and W. E. B. Du Bois, head of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Garvey's influence declined rapidly when he and other UNIA members were indicted for mail fraud in 1922 in connection with the sale of stock for the Black Star Line. He served 2 years of a 5-year prison term, but in 1927 his sentence was commuted by President Calvin Coolidge, and he was deported as an undesirable alien. He was never able to revive the movement abroad, and he died in virtual obscurity. Now back to the Asiatic influence. We're moving right on from Freemasonry to Shriners to Moors to the Nation of Islam. Here you have a picture of Elijah Muhammad wearing the fez, and in the middle, this is taken from the book Sheikh Dawood versus W.D. Fard, which is available online. Quote from Carl Evans' book The Messenger, The Rise and Fall of Elijah Muhammad, page 60. As the UNIA spiraled downward, so did Elijah. Strong drink became his communion wine, and festering racial animosity the bread that sustained his dying dreams. He blamed white people not only for Garvey's downfall, but for the bankruptcy of the UNIA members who had invested their savings in Garvey's steamship stocks. Like a million other lost souls, Elijah wandered from organization to organization seeking spiritual fulfillment. One of his first expeditions was into the esoteric world of Freemasonry. Since the mainstream Masonic organization, the ancient Arabic order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine of North America, was all white, Elijah enlisted in the all-black ancient Egyptian order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine of North and South America. The Black Shriners, as these Freemasons were known, were a large bureaucracy with a virtually impenetrable hierarchy. Next, you will hear from yourself Elijah Muhammad saying, confirming that he was once a Mason.
Once I was a Mason too. Until I became a Muslim, I was a Mason.
Next, quote from the same book, page 62. Repentant, Elijah again promised to quit drinking and to give Clara back the proud man she married. As part of his spiritual quest, he he attended meetings of a local temple that called its religion Islam and whose members were called Muslims. The founder of the temple, he learned during his first visit, was a strangely dressed man by the name of Noble Drew Ali. According to the temple's teachings, Drew Ali was the seal of God's prophets, despite the word of the Holy Quran, the book that Orthodox Muslims accept as the direct word of Allah. As did Muhammad of the 7th century, Drew Ali produced a holy book, this one called the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Page 65. While he had never personally seen nor heard Marcus Garvey deliver a speech, Elijah did attend a lecture given by Drew Ali in Detroit and was profoundly impressed. He was soon among the thousands of blacks who joined the Moors. Because of their odd dress, employers had no problem singling the Moors out for discrimination. The maroon fezzes, which men were required to wear at all times, and the goatees were a dead giveaway. As Moors held themselves superior to white people, their religious beliefs frequently resulted in hostile encounters on the streets and in the workplace. Next, comparing teachings of Drew Ali with those of Elijah Muhammad. Still from the Moorish questionnaire, better known as the Moorish 101, number 57. So this is coming from the MSTF from Drew Ali. Who were Adam and Eve? They are the one who brought about discord in the holy city of Mecca and were driven out. 58. Where did they go? They went into Europe. 59. What is the modern name given to their children? Roman. 60. What is the shade of their skin? Pale. Now comparing with Elijah Muhammad's lost found Muslim lesson number 14. Why did we run Jacob and his mad devil from the root of civilization over the hot desert into the caves of West Asia, as they now call it, Europe? Answer: because they had started making trouble among the righteous people telling lies. You can see that from the Moorish questionnaire, we are told that the white people, the Europeans white people went into Europe. And also on Elijah Muhammad's lesson, we are told that they went they ran out Jacob and his mate devil, meaning white people, into Europe. We are told on number 57 that they brought a discord, and there we are told from the MSTA, Drew Ali, we are told that they brought discord into the holy city of Mecca. And in Elijah Muhammad's lesson, we are told that they started making trouble. Also in Elijah Muhammad's book entitled The Black Stone, page 176, this took place in the 2000 years before Moses, when God drove the white men out of the paradise of the garden. It only means the Holy Land of Arabia. They were in Persia, over there in the valley of the Euphrates River. When they drove them out, they went across what is known as Syria, Lebanon, into Turkey, and into the hills and mountains of Europe. So once again, we are told about the holy city in Mecca, if you look at number 57 from the MSTA, from Drew Ali. And there we are told from Elijah Muhammad, the Holy Land of Arabia. And same again at the bottom, you can see that they went into the mountains of Europe. Just like you told on number 58 from the MSTA, where did they go? They went into Europe. Next, teachings of Drew Ali compared to those of Elijah Muhammad once again. Drew Ali, Moorish 101, number 36. What does the name Jesus mean? Jesus means justice. Elijah Muhammad, the Black Stone, page 2. It means this, that Jesus being buried, that name Jesus means justice here. Exactly the same quote. Now Drew Ali from the quote-unquote Moorish Quran, chapter 45, the divine origin of the Asiatic nations. Number 2. The key of civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatic nations. Elijah Muhammad, Supreme Wisdom 110, the student enrollment. Number 1. Who is the original man? The original man is the Asiatic black man. So we have the Asiatic nations and the Asiatic black man. Next, still with the Arabic influence, we're dealing with Arab money. The great gift of our Libyan brothers by Messenger Elijah Muhammad, reprinted from the May 19, 1972 edition of Muhammad Speaks newspaper. We, the Muslims, want the world to know that we thank the Libyan people and their government for the great surprise in loaning us nearly $3 million in cash. Here, we will see Khalid Abdul Muhammad talking about the time when Gaddafi gave $5 million to Farrakhan.
To your best of your knowledge, could you explain to us what you know, what the $1 billion was offered for?
I'm sorry?
To the best of your knowledge, could you explain to us what the $1 billion was offered for?
To the best of my knowledge, I can, because from the beginning I was involved. I'm responsible, by God's grace, for Minister Farrakhan and Brother Muammar Gaddafi meeting. When I was married to my son Farrakhan's mother, we took our own money and went to Libya, the Libyan Arab Jamahiriya. We went to Libya. We stayed there 3 months to get a meeting with Brother Muammar al-Gaddafi. We had our letters and all of our correspondence in English on one side, translated in Arabic on the other side. We went to every office, every government building, every military office. We went all over, and we hung in there. We took audio tapes, videotapes, and looked for those who had the American system or the dual system to play the videos of Minister Farrakhan. We did everything to get a meeting between Minister Farrakhan and Brother Gaddafi, because Minister Farrakhan had sought a meeting with him years back. And when he arrived in Libya to meet with Gaddafi, Gaddafi's plane was taking off. There was a miscommunication and something had happened and they missed each other. So I was dedicated to the two of them meeting. And I stayed in there and laid in there until God helped me to set up the base and the foundation for the $5 million that came to Minister Farrakhan. I did the work of cutting down the underbrush, paving the way, and opening up the way for the $5 million.
So we had $3 million, nearly $3 million to Elijah Muhammad from Gaddafi. Then we have $5 million to Farrakhan from Gaddafi. Now we will see that Khalid Abdul Muhammad was a Mason.
We would like to present to some and introduce to others a man that need no introduction. He's a man that has been initiated into the degree of his apprentice, passed to the degree of a fellow craftsman, and raised to the sublime degree of a master mason, walked into the lodge of perfection where perfect men were at council, and from this point walked on into the consistory and crowned the sublime prince of the royal secret of the 32nd degree king of the hot-burning sands of the desert, trying to find rest in the shade of the oasis, washed in the pool of Mecca, kissed the black rock of Jephthah, and stepped back on the square and declared himself a man of noble birth. He's a member of the board of directors of the Imperial Grand Council of the ancient epic of the nobles of the mystic shrine of the United States of America, the illustrious noble Russia Dean.
Brothers and sisters, may I have your attention, please? Brothers and sisters, in Islam, we are taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to begin every important event asking for the divine blessings, asking for the divine providence of Almighty God, and to begin every important event in His name. And I can find no other event more important than this Founders Day banquet, and to begin in the name and asking for His divine blessing. So in the name of Almighty God, Allah, and in the name of His Christ and His messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and we thank that God, Allah, for coming as it was written and prophesied that He would come, seeking that which was lost. And we can find no other people fitting the description of the lost sheep, the lost brother, and the lost sister, except we, the 50 million or more so-called American Negroes who are lost here in the hells of North America, lost sheep, who have lost our names, lost our language, lost our religion, our culture, and our God, lost our folkways, our mores, and our norms, and the way some of us act. We have even lost our mind. And so we thank that God, it is written in the Bible that He would come seeking that which was lost and out of place. I greet you in the greeting words of peace, as spoken in the ancient tongue, spoken in the language that Jesus and all of the great worthies who came in the great line of divine, the language that they all spoke. They didn't speak English in those days. If Jesus were here at the Founders Day banquet to honor Dr. P.J. Jones tonight, Jesus would not stand up and say good evening, but Jesus would speak in the tongue of his time, and he would say, Assalamu alaikum. Be the him. And so as it is written, this is the Lord's doing. When you see the Muslim and the Mason, when you see the Muslim sister, and when you see the daughters of the various orders of the ancient Arabic order, when you see them begin to come together, you know that the dry bones are really beginning to shake and come together. There are some in this room together tonight that under ordinary circumstances wouldn't be together. But God has His hands on this whole situation.
What we can take note of is 1. The fez with symbols similar to the Shriners worn by the introducer. 2. Khalid being called Master Mason. 3. Khalid called Noble. 4. Mention of Lodge. Next. Now you remember the Asiatic influence. Byzantine, Constantinople, Turkey. Now look at the Turkish flag and the Nation of Islam flag. So we have the Symbolism from 1872 with the Shriners emblem to 1930, with the MSTA to 1930 with the NOI. Next, from Freemasonry to Shriners to Moors to NOI to 5%, the Nation of Gods and Earth, known as the NGE. It was started by Clarence Smith, later known as Clarence 13X, later known as Allah or Father Allah. Clarence 13X was a member of the Nation of Islam until around 1963. Using the NOI lessons slightly modified, he founded the NGE. Here is a cultural center of the Nation of Gods and Earth in Harlem. It is called Allah School in Mecca. Remember, we are told when it comes to the Shriners, the first meeting of Mecca Shriners. Now we can see the symbol or emblem of the NGE. On the left is taken from the website quoted, and on the right you have an excerpt from the book Sheikh Dawood versus Fard. So here we have the symbolism from 1872 with the Shriners emblem, to 1913 with the MSTA, to 1930 with the NOI, to 1963 with the NGE. Going from Freemasonry to Shriners to Moors to Nuwaubians. The United Nuwaubian Nation of Moors. On the left, it says, coming forth to you from the ancient and mystic order of Melchizedek or Malachizedek. And on the right, this is taken from the same book, Sheikh Dawood versus W.D. Fard. We are told, authored by the Grandmaster Dr. Malachi Z. York from the ancient and mystic order of Melchizedek. So we went first from the ancient Arabic order of the nobles of the mystic shrine to the ancient and mystic order of Melchizedek. Still from the same book, you can clearly see the fez worn by Malachi York and also the symbolism. So when we do an outline of the symbols, we go from 1872 with the Shriners to 1913 with the Moorish Science Temple of America, to 1930 with the Nation of Islam, to 1963 with the Nation of Gods and Earth, to around the 70s to the year 2000 with the Nuwaubian Nation of Moors. Remember, the first meeting of Mecca Shriners, the first temple established in the United States, was held in September 26, 1872. Now, when we dealt with the history of the Shriners, the key point here, Billy Florence had been on tour in France and had been invited to a party given by an Arabian diplomat. The exotic style, flavors, and music of the Arabian theme party inspired him to suggest this as a theme for the new fraternity. Walter Fleming, a devoted fraternity brother, built on Fleming's ideas and used his knowledge of fraternal ritual to transform the Arabian theme into the ancient Arabic order of the nobles of the mystic shrine. So in all reality, with all fairness, we are looking at the fathers of the Asiatic black man. Had they been to a party and been inspired by some Indian or Australian or Spanish or South American theme, then it would have been something else. It just happened that when that person went to France, it was an Arabian theme party and he got inspired by that. I want to give a notable mention because they have been around and they have been very significant. The Black Panther Party, the original Black Panther Party, not the current newish or Arabic Panther Party. So the two main founders, of course, Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton. You have a picture of some original members, and you have a text about little Bobby Houghton, who joined when he was only 16 years old. I want to thank you for having watched this video. Please feel free to share it. Feel free to comment. And remember that the main account on YouTube is Egypt Decoded. The website is afrostudy.com/English. afrostyly.com/English. My name is Shaka Ndugu Kemet. If you are not part of the solution, you are part of the problem. Hotep.